This video is sponsored by Dr. Prepare. You got a chance of everything from freezing rain to snow on this trip. I think a lot of backpackers get nervous about hunters. I'm gonna take my chances with all the above and keep following the orange blazes. Hey everybody, Syntax77 here, and I am in the mood for some backpacking. So that's what we're gonna do. Got 3 days and 2 nights. I'm up here in north central Pennsylvania at the Hammersley Wild area. I got my map right there in the pack, as well as some fuel and some water, and all kinds of winter gear and clothing there. And yeah, we're gonna do some backpacking. I said winter gear, it's not really winter yet, right? That's not until December at some point, but it's 27 degrees and it was snowing this morning, so I'm just gonna call it winter. I have a saw with me. Maybe we'll make a fire out there. We'll see. But first things first, I should probably suck it up, get out of the Jeep and into the cold. This is the Cross Fork trailhead for the Susquehannock Trail that runs through here. I'm right here by the Kettle Creek Hose Company, and this is actually official parking. So I'm going to leave this here overnight and get out there on the Susquehannock Trail. That is actually like an 85-mile or so loop, but I'm just going to use it to create a 20-ish mile or so loop with about 3,500 feet of elevation gain, because there are short days. Sunset is 4:30 or maybe a couple minutes before, and it's morning now, but that sun's gonna go away fast. So I cut the mileage back a little bit and we'll see what happens. So let's get the pack out. This is not my normal full winter pack because it's not brutally cold. You know, we're not going below zero or anything, so I decided to get away with still using my ultralight pack, but I'm definitely over 10 pounds because I have some extra gloves and hats, and sleeping bag is a little heavier for the temperatures and whatnot. But first things first, though, it is hunting season, so in addition to my gloves, I should probably grab some Blaze Orange. Swap out the hat here. There we go. And take my hunting vest and probably tag that onto the outside, just to add a little extra visibility, because if I wore the vest it would be covered up by the backpack. That wouldn't be very useful. So there we go, drape that on there. Grab my hard shell jacket. Probably gonna pop this on for the beginning of the hike at least. And I have a feeling, even though it's 27 degrees, having this pack on, I'm going to warm up pretty quick, so I might shed that later, but definitely going to need it at night and for now until I warm up. All right, close her up, hit the key, and we are out of here. All right, goodbye firehouse. Here's the information board, maps on the back. And I actually picked up my map right from here. Pretty convenient. They got a whole bunch of them for various areas right around here. We're actually going to head over here back towards Main Street, which is what I drove in on, and we'll do a short road hike just to get ourselves onto the trail. Look at this, orange blazes. That is the STS, Susquehannock Trail System. So, rest assured, we are on it. And up here, we'll cut left. Looks like they're doing some road work. STS off of the road onto the trail. No horses or bikes. Saw a pickup truck over there parked on the side of the road. He's probably hunting in here somewhere. I drove here right from our cabin in Wellsboro, or roughly in Wellsboro, about an hour away from here. And we were doing our annual buck hunting trip, which is on my dad's channel. If you're interested in that sort of thing, that'll be over there. But that was a good time, and I figured I was up here, so I just went right from there to here. And then afterwards, today's Wednesday, on Friday, I'll just go back to the cabin, get a little rest there before I drive home to Delaware. But say goodbye to the road noise. This is actually the most remote section of public lands in Pennsylvania. And at some points, you're over 5 miles away from the nearest road, which may not sound like a lot. That's pretty hard to come by nowadays in any state. And speaking of 5 miles, I mentioned that I was doing a roughly 22-mile loop. Probably just going to do 5 today. Start with a 5-mile warm-up, get myself deep into the woods, and maybe set up camp around that point near some water. And tomorrow we'll wake up and continue to loop and see where we want to camp the second night. There is a pretty cool spot from what I've read. It's the site of an old forest fire from many years ago. For whatever reason, it never grew back, and it's up on the ridge, so it might make for a good tent site tomorrow. Usually I do hammocks with the tarp, but because of that open area, I figured I'd bring the small tent, sleeping pad, and that'll give me the ability to set up camp without having to worry about finding trees. But here comes the elevation gain. There's basically, we started at 1,000 feet down there at the parking lot elevation. We go up to around 2,000, 2,200, and back down to 1,000. And we'll do that 3 times over the course of the trip. So today I'm going to knock one of those up and downs out and probably camp at the bottom. Save the next one for tomorrow. It's pretty nice in here so far. We'll see how things pan out in the next few days. But before we get too far into things, I'd like to take a minute to thank my sponsor for this video, Dr. Prepare, and their 178 watt-hour portable power bank. You can see right there, I have it in my hand. It is ultra portable, affordable, and yet still powerful. You got a bunch of different power outputs on there. You got your standard USB ports right there, your USB-C. You got 2 12-volt outlets, and speaking of power, a standard wall outlet that can produce a peak output of 200 watts for your more high draw applications. I personally put a splitter on here, nerd out, hook up Atari and a projector, draws about 40 watts or so. That gives me 4 hours of Space Invaders or 4 hours of movies on the side of your tent. Or maybe you want to do something more practical, like say power a fan to cool down during warmer months. Set up a battery base camp for your drone and never be grounded again. Drawing about 9 watts and I'm charging 3 batteries right now. Or sharpen your knife for that impending bear attack. 55 watts, not bad. I could run this for hours. Who am I to judge how you use your power when you're out and about? It is 4.4 pounds, just about exactly the same weight as 2 liters of water. If you can handle carrying 2 bottles of water, then you can handle carrying this. And with that size, yes, you could slide this in a backpack. And for viewers of this channel, you can hit the link in my video description below, enter the code ST10DP and get 10% off your very own Dr. Prepare power bank. Now, where were we? I think it's time to get back into the woods and onto the trail. Actually just saw solitary hunter, probably the guy in the pickup truck, sitting on a stump back there. So I did my best to shut the heck up and keep on moving. Look at that, mile 50, not for me, but of the STS. Looks like it turns here. So what I'm not going to do a lot of on this trip is wander too far off trail for the sake of other hunters until I get in 2+ miles. Definitely should be safe at 3 miles or so from any road, because I think a lot of backpackers get nervous about hunters. First off, especially in Pennsylvania, they got to be 3 points on one side. You got to know what you're shooting at, so not just shooting at movement. That's stupid. Don't worry about that. But another thing people don't think about is no hunter is going to drag a deer back to his car for like 2 miles. So when you're deep in the woods, unless you're out in Colorado with like Steven Ranella or Cam Haynes, your odds of seeing a hunter are dramatically diminished, because like we just saw, that guy parked and he hiked in maybe no more than half a mile, and he'll drag a deer from there if he's so lucky. But anyway, let's keep on moving. Oh, speaking of critters, what we got right there? What do you think? Bear scat? Velociraptor? You tell me. I'm gonna bet against deer, I'll tell you that. This is a pretty awesome trail so far though. I mean, we've already hopped up pretty good. That little cutout in there, if you can make it out, is where the road is, or was. And we're already getting these nice ridge views. I'm sure it's not as pronounced in the summer, but this is one of the advantages of coming out when the leaves are down. These ridge hikes often give you views that you wouldn't normally have. Speaking of ridges, feels like we're getting on top of one. And the wind's picking up. You got a chance of everything from freezing rain to snow on this trip. Well, that's a shiny item. Spent shell. I'll Although, who would be sitting right on the trail and spending his oh, okay. Somebody lost that. Hornady 308 Win Mag. Alright. Leave no trace, I guess I'll I'll pack this out for the sake of the environment. Although I don't have a 308, so it's not going to do me any good, but we'll get it off the trail. Anyway, get to the top of this ridge, see what we got. Double blaze. That means turn or heads up, but in this case it's a turn, and it's definitely gotten a bit thicker in here, and it's flattened out, as you can see. No water up here though. About 2.5 miles in, and we'll be on this flat ridge for maybe a mile and a half, and then we'll drop down another 1,000 feet. Within about another mile and a half. Should be pretty steep drop off. I don't know, I got 2 liters of water with me. I could get by on camping if I saw a nice view up here and just do the extra mileage tomorrow. I'm keeping myself open to that, but I think most likely I'll keep pushing. I will enjoy this flat ground for a little bit, that's for sure. Hopefully we can avoid any precipitation until camp is set up. All right, got ourselves an intersection. Twin Sisters Trail and the STS this way. So I think Twin Sisters Trail was also the STS, kind of like Appalachian Trail where they use existing trails. That's what I'm guessing here. But Twin Sisters continues that way, and I can see kind of a faded yellow blaze down there. We're going to continue on the STS, Susquehannock Trail System. This will begin our loop. We'll return from Twin Sisters on, well, a few days from now. Grab my map here. Take a look on the ground here. All right, Hammersley Wild Area. So we started right here at Cross Fork Trailhead, and I came from Wellsboro's down this way. So I came down 144 and took Main Street, parked there, walked back up past our construction worker friends. STS is orange, came up here, and we're right about here right now. So I guess I was wrong. We're only 1.7 miles of trail plus what I walked on the road and whatnot. So yeah, we're about 2.5-ish. I'm gonna go down here, start losing elevation, camp around here, or possibly here near Hammersley Fork. Then we're going to come up tomorrow, and you can see it looks like the trail doesn't go anywhere to make a loop. It goes to this road over here, McConnell Road. But this right-of-way power line, or actually I think it's pipeline rather, is cut out for access, that whole pipeline. So our option is, when we get here tomorrow, we can take the pipeline. But the key thing there is, you can tell by the topography here, it goes up and down. It's pretty rugged. It's wide open, no trees, but pretty rugged. So I've heard it's not the best hiking, but it does cut off this. The other option is, on day 2, we go over here to the road and around. And then at some point, I'll stock up on water in here, and I'll camp on day 2, probably around here where the wildfire from many years ago occurred. There's also the option of doing a bushwhack for fun actually through here, I think, but we'll see. So get the snow off of that. It is starting to freshly snow. It actually just started since I got to the intersection. Well, at least it's not rain, or even worse, freezing rain. The freezing rain, I think, would be on the second night, hopefully after I'm in the tent, because that would be no fun to pack up a tent covered with frozen water, which you then put into your pack, and then it potentially thaws, and well, that's just a soggy mess. So we'll see if we time that right, because if I get out on the third day and my tent's all wet and my backpack is too, I'm not worried about it. I'm headed back to a wood stove and a hot meal at the cabin. If I got that tonight though, that could make tomorrow a little more interesting. A nice water flow down there. Trail is kind of following along that now. That is a good water source. So, realistically, at any point, we could camp. We'll see. I do know my last 2 trips, I night hiked every day. Not in the mood for that. Of course, I said that on both those trips, and I still did it. But I don't think I want to do that this time. And with this overcast, it's going to get dark even quicker than normal, for sure. So I want to keep that in mind. I'm going to try to shoot for this area they call the pool. It's apparently a nice swimming spot, which I'm not interested in doing right now. So I was mostly shooting there because it seemed like a scenic area, but I don't know. If I see anything close to water that looks pretty and has the capability to house me in my tent for the night, and maybe some firewood around, because I do want to have a fire, I'll take it. We'll just see what comes first. Luckily, it's all downhill right now, pretty mild grade, so I am making good trail time. Whew. Well, this is tempting. Made it down to water, or the actual level of the water, I should say. This looks like a little fire pit action that someone made, and there's actually some wood sitting here. Already collected. And that is the gamble. I head on to the place that's popular in summer. No one will be there, most likely, right now. But it's going to be picked clean. I do have a saw, which always gives you an advantage because, well, you can cut up the stuff that other people just either can't or won't put the effort into. So, do I walk away from this site that has a pile of wood right at it, or do I push on to the potentially prettier site that may have no wood at all, but I have the bonus of maybe using my saw to forage more? I will say one downside of this site is that right there is the trail. I mean, the trail goes right through it. There aren't any restrictions against that in this particular area, as far as distance from the trail. Usually not my cup of tea, although I don't think anybody's going to be coming along, but I think I'm going to push ahead. And I think we have a water crossing here. No, not quite yet. But at some point we do. Not too far ahead. And I don't know what that's going to look like either. But I'm going to take my chances with all the above and keep following the orange blazes. Interesting. Stone structure randomly here. What do you think the story with that is? Is this the rock equivalent of Stonehenge or what? Well, these public lands almost always at some point were private lands. So who knows what this used to be, as I carefully try to navigate it. The trail goes over here. Nice piney area, and I've been thinking about that more as I've been walking. As much as I would like a view, might save that for tomorrow. And I wouldn't mind being in the pines. Get a little protection from the snow coming down. It's very pretty, and it's better than rain. And I know what you might be thinking. Doesn't look too bad, but something about just a constant blow of snow in the face when you're trying to set up camp. It's kind of nice to get a break from that sometimes. So see if we can't find a stand of pines around here somewhere. Made it to the pool. Snow is still coming down, and I don't think I'll be getting in there, but it does look like it's probably pretty awesome in the summer, although I've read that it's a little chilly all year round. Grab my saw and prioritize fire. So I got my Silky F180, basically a pruning saw, relatively light, and it cuts like you wouldn't believe. So I got that. I'll carry that around with me. First things first though, I should probably get some fire starter out and then cover the pack up. So my fire starter, just for ease and organization, is in my food bag as I struggle to get it out. Maybe it's not so easy. That wasn't too bad. I usually keep my food bag at the top, and I just keep all my food in a grocery bag, because at the end of the night I take the whole thing, I'll tie it to a line, I'll get it up in the air and out of the way of any bears, critters, etc. But in here I got all kinds of goodies that we'll get into. First up is probably a quick ramen noodle soup after I get done the tasks that I'm looking to do. But right now I'm looking for fire starter. I actually stole this from up the cabin. It was a larger block, more like the size of length of your hand. But I just took a steak knife and chopped up a bunch of chunks. It's kind of got some sticky resin on there. So there's my fire starter. I'll just use minimal chunks of that to get a fire going. But first up, I'm getting snowed on, so let me tie up the food bag and keep that out of the snow. And then my pack, I'll put a pack cover on that for now. The snow is not melting because it is in the 20s, but no sense getting snow in all the crevices and whatnot, especially if the temp does go back up above 32 tomorrow. So, little Dutchware ultralight pack cover. I would use this if I was hiking in the rain or whatnot, but at camp I can throw that on and just keep the snow off my back. Just a little precaution. And that little guy is basically made of like ultralight tarp material, only weighs a few ounces. All right, so I got the saw, and not quite the same as the other campsite, but I did luck out a little bit. I don't know how fresh or wet this wood is, but I have a little bit of something that I might be able to start a fire with that somebody didn't burn when they were here before. And so I'm going to clear out this fire pit area, and pretty sure all the leaves around here are saturated, but I'll clear some space out. And this might, I don't know, we'll see how this plays out. If my friend Mike was here, he would definitely right now be making both of us spend the next hour and a half collecting firewood before we even attempted to light a flame. But me personally, I don't know, I'm impatient. So I'm going to use the small amount of stuff that's here with my fire starters, try to get a little base going, and scavenge around in the immediate vicinity while keeping an eye on this and keeping it alive and kind of feeding it as I go. Then once I have a good base, if all goes well, I can venture out further around here to the areas where people most likely don't go to and look for stuff that I can cut up with my saw. Down trees like that, stuff that's already dead, and hopefully kind of dried out. Maybe get another layer on first, actually, because now that I'm not hiking, I'm gonna get chilly. So I got my camp shirt, merino wool base layer, and my synthetic Outdoor Vitals jacket. Let's get this on and go fast so I can get my hard shell on before I soak up too much of this moisture. I also have a pair of rain pants which will trap warmth on the bottom, and obviously keep me dry. I'm on the fence about that right now though, because I think most of the snow is just brushing off, although some of it's melting. So yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to overheat, but nope, changed my mind on that too. So outdoor research, helium rain pants, and I'll just stay mindful as I trudge around not to overheat. And if I do start to get too hot, I can undo the pit zips on my jacket here, and that'll vent some heat, because I do not want to get sweaty. Even though everything I'm wearing is synthetic or merino wool, kick some of the snow off. It'll continue to work and dry pretty quick, but there's no sense getting sweaty and wet if you don't have to. There we go. Woo! Did it without getting too wet. So now I am ready for precipitation. Just got to be careful now when I start that fire. Those embers will put a hole in this lightweight gear pretty easy. Something to watch out for. All right, let's go. Got a little TP going with the driest of the wood I could find. I got some green wood out over here, which is fresh wood. It's not going to want to burn. But went ahead, put it on the outside. Maybe it'll dry out once we get going. And guess we need some fire starter. Take my gloves off here for finesse. So, like I was saying, this is real sticky stuff. It's a pretty big chunk right there. I want to be careful with this and not use it all. Ideally, 2 nights of fires out of this, but it looks like a lot now, but it might fail, so we'll save that. I'm just gonna stick that in there. I got some leaves in there. They are wet, but we'll see what happens. Some small twigs. Let's see. Keep an eye on this for now until hopefully the base catches, and then I'll venture out on the smaller perimeter and get some wood, and yeah, just keep going from there. I did kick out a little area right here that looks like it's going to be my home for the tent. Relatively flat. I mean, it's a very small 1-person tent, so that's, you know, not too hard to find a spot for. And then I have this rock shelf here, and you can see the terrain fall off, so that should block some wind. And the wind right now isn't too much, but if you can slightly tell from the snowflakes, it is coming this way. So those rocks will work to my advantage. And then also, when I set the tent up, I'll put the door facing this way so that any blowing snow isn't going into the shelter. And that honestly is pure luck that it's facing the fire, so that works out as long as the wind doesn't change, but we'll see. It's been a long hour and a lot of wet kindling and firewood. Oh man. Well, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a heck of a challenging hour. I got flames there, but unfortunately, they'll probably die out. Everything around here is just saturated. Very damp and wet. If it was a survival situation, I guess I would press on. But to be honest, it's getting a little wet, so I don't want to be out here with the fire anyway. I think I need shelter. That's my last try right there. Some bark that I collected over there. If that goes out, I think that's it for me. I'm just going to get my stove. Got the alcohol stove set up. The heat. Titanium pot. Little cat can stove. We'll rock some ramen noodles to start. And then I'll dig in here. I think right now, because of my failed attempt at a fire, gotta go comfort food. Texas State Fair chili, which I've shown plenty of times on this channel, but I don't even have the tent up yet, and I should probably do that. You gotta weigh your options. The fire, well, maybe we'll just try that again tomorrow. I don't know. Right now, I just want to eat some food. I don't want to sit in the snow and eat chili, so I got this shell here with my frame, and going fast and light, so no bug net, but no bugs right now anyway, right? I have the ground sheet here, which will protect me from the ground, but it also gives a little structure to the tent on each corner. That's where the poles connect, and then I'm good to go. I got my entrance here. We'll zip that out in a minute, but I'm gonna grab some tent spikes out of my pocket. There we go. And that will keep it from blowing away and give it some tension. These are just little titanium tent spikes, 0.2 ounces a piece, and I have a couple spares, so Let's get that going. There we go. Well, got my winter sleeping pad. Tent is up. I got my inflation bag so I don't have to waste too much breath on that. Makes things a little easier. So, pad is out. Let's do some food. Got my little heating bag. Just some Reflectix. You can get that at Home Depot. The snow is actually tapered off a little bit, which is nice. Came back for a little bit, but then kind of slowed down. So, get my light here. I'm just going to enjoy my chili. And then, still warm. Heating pad does the job. This has been sitting for like an hour while I was doing chores, and it's still warm and hot. I'm gonna finish this off, count some sheep, and see what happens tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. It's about 7 a.m. The sun seems to be out, or at least it's on the way. The tent held up good. Got a good night's sleep. Nice and toasty in this 15-degree down bag from Outdoor Vitals. It did very well, because it probably only went down to, 20 degrees last night, maybe 19 or something in that range, but did well. Got sleeping pad from Hammock. It's actually designed to go in my Hammock hammock, but it's insulated with a better R value for winter, so it's rated down to 0 degrees or something like that. All right, I guess I should put the boots on. We'll see how frozen they are. Start thawing those out. And I think some coffee is in order. All right. Beautiful morning. Feel pretty good. So I'll feel a little better after a hot beverage. So, if you watched my last video in Vermont, you saw my attempt at drinking the coffee from Honey Bun and Night Train. They sent me some of this red coffee right here, Maxim. Got the cream included, and a little sweetener, sugar, but they also sent some creamer packets that they like to use. A little cat can stove I always use, and some denatured alcohol. In my case, I'm using heat. Somebody actually posted a question on the last video. They said they had a bad experience with this, with the heat, and they had a lot of soot and whatnot, but he couldn't remember if he got the red one or the yellow. This is gas line cleaner, if you've never heard of that. Any gas station, if you walk inside while you're getting a hot dog or a cup of coffee, for like $2 you can get a bottle of this. but there's a red version and a yellow version, and yes, there is a difference. The red version is isopropyl alcohol. It's just rubbing alcohol in an automotive bottle, really. That stuff will burn, but it burns really dirty, and it leaves behind, in my experience, just testing it for fun, like a black soot. It's terrible for your stove and your pot and all that. The yellow one is straight, I believe, at least 90-something% methanol, which is very similar to ethanol, which would be just straight moonshine, but it's poisonous, so that way they don't have to worry about people drinking it and whatnot. So, light that up. A little creamer. Couple bits of ramen noodles still in there, but that's okay. A little carbs and fat mixed in with my coffee. Just a little extra energy, which, by the way, I'm probably going to pack up the tent, which is over here, and get on the trail before I eat breakfast. Kind of psychologically just helps me not get too comfortable at camp, which I often do. If I eat breakfast here, I tend to get pretty lazy, and next thing you know, I'll be leaving at like 12 noon. We got like, ideally, 10 miles today at the most, but we'll see how it goes. But there's the tent. I have the doors rolled back. I didn't bring the tent body, which would have the bathtub bottom and the bug net, because I wasn't worried about bugs, and I wasn't too worried about like a downpour of rain either, which could cause it to splash up under here. But last night I just kind of packed my hard shell jacket and my pants, because I didn't wear those, of course, to sleep. I just put them in various locations to block wind, and you want a little airflow to keep the condensation down anyway. So there it is, the little Outdoor Vitals 1 person plus. Anyway, I'll pack up the sleeping bag, deflate the pad, which maybe I'll do now before I drink my coffee. Just let that start slowly leaking out. And just pull this, pull it out like that. And with the weight of my sleeping bag and maybe another piece of gear, this should be pretty much deflated by the time I come back. So, stare at the water, enjoy some coffee. Oh, that is real good. It's still hot. That's amazing. This will warm me up, give me a little energy, little calories, and then we'll pack up the tent. All right, we've come to today's water crossing. Looks decently substantial. 2 seasons ago, I got these Salomon Tundra Pro boots. They're rated -20. They're Gore-Tex, heavily water resistant for submerging them. But the problem is they failed one of the seams along the toe line. That is not ice. That is Flex Seal. You know, the stuff from TV in the spray can. I, in a last-ditch effort, sprayed that on there. But it has been flaking off. I don't know if it's still permeating the seams or if these things are going to leak or not. So, I think I've decided to shimmy across this log. I could butt scoot it, but I don't have rain pants on. So I'm just going to feel it out. Maybe crawl directly over it. Try to make it over to that log. Nope, I don't like that. That was a bad idea. All right, brush the snow off, and I guess we'll butt scoot. It would be pretty ironic if my feet still went in the water. But I figured my butt, as I hike, will dry out faster than wet submerged boots will. Now let's see if I can get myself up over this section. Oh yeah, I think we might have made it. Whew. Probably didn't look like much, but it was, it felt pretty sketchy when I was doing it. All right. Whew. Now, where were we? Should be an orange blaze around here somewhere. There we go. Another crossing. Okay. All right. Well, I do believe that is on my map. Let's see here. Parking area. Camp last night. Somewhere in here. And there's Bunnell Ridge Trail. It says Bunnell Trail, but close enough. That must be it. Goes towards McConnell Road. And ultimately, I was thinking about continuing on STS and then either doing this power line or over to McConnell Road to avoid the power line and then back on around, with a campsite at Elk Lick Knob, which is not listed on this map, but this red indicator is marked as Vista. I can only assume that is Elk Lick Knob, Forest Fire, Vista. What's interesting though is when I looked at my phone, and I'm using the Gaia GPS app, and one of the neat features of that is that when you download the maps for offline use, it also gives you an option to download other people's tracks that they've made or recorded and made public. And up here, so I'm right there, I am that red arrow. Up here is a trail, well, I should say somebody's track, right to Elk Lick Knob. Now, that is not on the map. There's nothing listed for that. So, maybe we just bushwhack or shortcut or do something and go right up to Elk Lick and set up camp. Because once again, especially with these water crossings and the slippery snow and the short days, the day is burning off quick. So, might want to get to camp, but we'll see. Pack up the map. We'll keep on moving. Let's see if we don't find a possibility of an alternate route. This appears to be it. From looking at my maps and GPS, Elk Lick Knob should be right there where my finger is, up that hill. No sign of an official trail intersection or anything like that. So this is definitely a bushwhack that somebody posted. I have to assume they didn't do it in the winter, just playing the odds. That could make things a little interesting. It looks to be about 800 feet over the course of a half mile. So I've been on, well, some of the most challenging trails I've ever done in New Hampshire are 1,500 feet per mile. To put it in perspective, it's about the same. But keep in mind, that's on a real trail. And this is not a real trail. It's going to be unestablished, slippery. My best bet, take my time, take it slow. I've had some peanuts, Swedish fish, little snacks and whatnot. I was gonna have my hot meal finally before I did the elevation, but I think I'm gonna leave that hot meal as a carrot at the end of the stick, a little reward. So when I get up top, I'll finally cook. I don't want to take the time to bust out my cooking gear and everything, because when I get up there, we're setting up camp. Leave these orange blazes behind. Whew. Get down to the water. And speaking of water, I should probably load up on that now, which means that my weight is about to increase by about, oh, I don't know, 7 to 10 pounds or so. But there's no water up there. Basically following right now what looks like a game trail, which, why reinvent the wheel? It's probably the path of least resistance through this brush. Speaking of which, look at that. That would be a buck rub right there. Rubbing his antlers right on that tree. All right. Well, that's a nice open area here. I'm at about 1,600 feet. And I got to get up to 2,300 straight ahead here. Look at those little paw prints right there. Kind of cool. All the way along the length of this log. Lots of animal tracks around here though. Don't think many people have taken the route I'm taking now. And even that GPS track that I found, which is a good base, I'm not exactly following it. I'm just kind of taking my own path. I figure we gotta at least go up that hump there. I could consult my GPS, but sometimes just trudge along and see what pops up. Just trying to remember the French step. Dig the edge of your foot in, cross over, dig the next one in. Lot lower probability of slippage. But on this terrain, it's still a possibility. I believe that's it. Made it to the top of the shelf. Topographically, should be relatively flat now. Maybe a 100 or 200 feet gradual, but the ascent is done. We're on a little knife's edge, it looks like here. And through the trees you can see mountains 360 degrees around here in the Susquehannock Forest. So about a third of a mile, maybe a quarter of a mile, something like that. I should mention, I've read no accounts of an actual campsite or camping here. I mean, it'll be legal, but I didn't really read about anybody doing it or find any waypoints for that. So probably not going to be an established campsite or a fire ring or anything. But you saw what happened last night. What do I need a fire ring for? Probably wouldn't get one started anyway. Although I will try. But I just need a small little section of flat ground without these little saplings around for my tent. So I'll just keep my fingers crossed for that. This ain't a bad view here either. So if all else fails up here, I could always probably pop a tent here. We'll see. Not a bad view though. Not a bad view at all. Alright. Still following deer tracks. But look at that. That looks like a sign. Not only did I stumble right upon the trail, I came to an actual either intersection or at least a marker of some kind. There's some fresh boot prints. Somebody was here at least within the last 12 hours. What do we got here? Twin Sisters Trail, location of 1964 forest fire. in retrospect, maybe I should have just camped on the ridge down there because, well, water isn't an issue. There's none around here. And it had a good view, but I'm not going back down there now. But we'll trudge over here and see what it looks like. And if maybe there's a flat spot, I don't know. A lot of new saplings and undergrowth around here that have come up since the forest fire. And maybe that's why I've never seen people say that they camp here. Because as we kind of got into earlier, those tiny little trees are not great for setting up a tent. Oh, wow. Okay. That's an awesome view. So we came up, the water was down in there. We came up that mountain. Probably would have been smarter to go up the way we can see that ridge, but we kind of went straight up it almost. Over that hump, and this hump. And now we're here. Pretty awesome looking. That is one of the best views I've seen hiking in Pennsylvania. This is a good loop. Whatever loop that is I'm creating. Some clearings down there, and that is the direction we're going. I'm running out of daylight, but as usual, yeah, let's roll the dice again. Let's go this way. It's in the right direction, and maybe there's a campsite. Sometimes you throw the dice. Sometimes they come up snake eyes. This looked good from a distance, but it is all of this basically dead ferns and whatnot. And I would not want to set up a tent on top of this. Wouldn't be too fun. And there's not much of a view unless I keep going over the crest there. And well, it's probably more of this. So, came from over there. Trail goes over here. I'm going to keep going. That means I will be in the woods, whatever campsite I find. But that's what I'm going to do, because I'm not turning back. So let's go. It is just about sunset, and it's going to be dark soon. It's getting cold too.
Getting cold.
I don't know what this is. Looks like it's still covered with ferns, of course, but it's flat. It's going to be real dark soon, and I still haven't had my hot breakfast. All I gotta do is set up a tent, boil some water. Whether or not I make a fire, probably not. I mean, there's not a pit here already, and with all the snow on the ground, it's pretty hard to tell what I'm working with. I think I see a faint outline of the moon through the haze there. And speaking of which, tonight is when there might be freezing rain, so I want to get myself situated. Alright. 5 something in the afternoon. Finally time for breakfast. Let's see what we got. I've had it beef cookie. And it is Santa Fe corn pudding. Oh man, I can't wait for this. I've been thinking about it all day. Stone ground cornmeal with fire roasted sweet corn, green chilies, cheddar jack cheese. I just put a cup of water in there and let it sit 10 minutes and I'm ready. So let's do this. I'll double up my cooking bag as a seat, which is why I brought this with me instead of my smaller one. It was a short day, but a long day, all in one. I'll tell you what, do like winter with the different conditions and views. Less people on the trail. But man, the lack of daylight does make things tough. Give this a nice little stir. So last night I think I added too much water to my chili. Today I may have not added enough water to my corn pudding. Almost forgot what I was eating. Actually, it looks pretty good. Oh my god. Okay, never mind, it's perfect. That's awesome. So I'm gonna enjoy this. I have the tent already set up over there. I got an owl friend that says hello every once in a while. The moon faintly through the clouds overhead. It's quite dark, but pretty good day. Oh, thank God. That makes me feel much better. Now, my night is complete. Well, another day begins. Made it through last night, all yesterday really, without any precipitation. Light snow flurries here and there, but luckily none of that freezing rain, which is awesome. I was hoping if something did hit up here on the ridge that it would be cold enough to make it snow instead of frozen mix, but didn't even really end up getting much snow, just a little light dusting on and off as I sat and had my fire last night. So I'm feeling pretty good. I just got to break down the tent, of course, my sleeping pad, sleeping bag. I'll throw that in the pack, and then I think we'll get on the trail. I'm not going to mess with the stove, so I'm actually going to skip coffee today. This morning, probably just going to pound some hydration. Got a couple liquid IV packs left over from my last trip, so I'm just going to concentrate on that. Look forward to a hot cup of coffee and a cheeseburger when I get out of here. That'll be my little motivation for today. All right, we'll pack up, get on the trail, and then maybe we'll take a look at the map and see what's in store. All right, let's check out the map, get a game plan. For reference, vehicle, right, Cross Fork, came up, went over here, camped, Hammersley, did our bushwhack here, so the red dot, which was the fire area. Now, we didn't end up camping there. We came down, it's not listed on here, but there's something called Blacksmith Hollow, and that is, I believe, right around here. So we're roughly around this area here. And then that bushwhack that was originally on my notes to take would have went and followed this drainage here. But I think I already got bushwhacking out of my system yesterday. So I think what I'm going to do today is just continue down Twin Sisters Trail instead of doing the bushwhack over. And then we'll link up with that original trail in where we saw the hunter in here. And that'll bring me back to the car. So this whole section's 4.2 miles. This is 1.7. That's a half. So 2.3, but we're already halfway into this. So I'd say roughly maybe 5-ish miles today, maybe 6. Not too bad at all. I definitely shaved some miles off yesterday with that bushwhack, but I saw what I wanted to see, and it was probably a good thing based on the fact that we still got to camp and didn't have much time before daylight. Now, where is the trail? Somewhere over here. TS, twin sister. Well, there's no doubt in my mind I'm on the right trail. This 1976 BLP was here. 69, 67. They're hard to make out. That's definitely a 76. All right, a little bit of history for you here on the Twin Sisters Trail. I'm feeling good today. Did not eat breakfast as usual, but I ate a ton last night. I mean, a ton. So I think I'm still riding on that. And I think I'm making good enough time that if this terrain holds out like this and the mileage I have to do, could probably skip breakfast, hold all the way out for a late-ish lunch, just go straight to the cheeseburger, and I'll be able to justify eating possibly 2 of them. I will point out though, for anybody who is interested in doing this loop, but you want to do the bushwhack, this is your marker right here. Not too long after you see those carvings, there'll be this pile of rocks. And in my case, I would turn right or towards the big stump and you bushwhack from here. And that actually brings you all the way back just about exactly to my campsite on the first night. So that's kind of convenient because it is possible to just go there, and then if it was summer with more daylight, you could leave camp the first night, day hike the whole loop, come back to camp. It would be about 11 miles for the loop. But with winter light window going on, I would save that for longer days. It's nice to finally have the sun actually on me. Back into those rhododendrons from the first day before we split off from the trail. So I do believe it means we're probably getting back towards that Twin Sisters intersection. There we go. Vehicle is still there. That's always a good thing. I'm back, full circle. 3 days on the Susquehannock Trail in Pennsylvania. Ended up going really good, really beautiful trail, and there's definitely some other options out there that I could come back and do, especially because it's so close to the cabin up here for me. Speaking of that, I'm gonna head back over there now after I shed some layers, and I think it's time to replace some calories. So until next time, I'm Syntax77, and right now it's cheeseburger time.